Welcome back, everyone, to this explainer from Forge College. If you're coming straight from our capstone orientation on goals, scope, and sources, you're probably staring at a massive, chaotic pile of historical notes right now. Maybe a rough thesis draft, too. Well, our goal today is super clear. We're going to take that raw, messy pile and transform it into a perfectly mapped, highly coherent narrative for your History Before Blockchain course, right here in our Blockchain Fundamentals track. You know, looking at raw, pre-blockchain research, it actually feels a lot like opening that one junk drawer in your kitchen. You know the exact one I'm talking about. It's filled with a tangled, chaotic mess of old charging cables, mystery keys, and random rubber bands. You absolutely know there is valuable stuff in there, but good luck finding the exact cord you need without some serious, frustrating untangling. That is exactly the stress of historical research. But don't worry, we're going to build a specific taxonomy today, and it's basically the ultimate drawer organizer. It'll untangle those cables once and for all. So here is our roadmap for conquering this together. First, the capstone mapping challenge. Second, building your taxonomy. Third, we'll hit the 5-step workflow. Fourth, the river delta metaphor. And finally, preparing for source evaluation. Okay, let's dive right into this. All right, Section 1, the capstone mapping challenge. We are officially moving out of the theoretical planning stages and getting our hands dirty with the actual structuring of your content. Now, it can be incredibly tempting to just open up a blank document and start typing away at your timeline or your essay. But trust me on this, without a mapped-out roster of candidate innovations, you really cannot gather evidence efficiently. You'll just end up going down endless rabbit holes, drafting whole sections that don't even actually support your thesis. By organizing things first, you drastically cut down on wasted research time, and you clarify exactly which primary sources you actually need to look at. It's a total lifesaver. Okay, so how do we actually bring order to this historical chaos? That brings us to Section 2, building your taxonomy. Let's strip away the academic jargon for a second. A taxonomy is really just a simple, highly effective tool for looking at history objectively. It takes any candidate innovation you find and splits it into 3 clear buckets. First, its functional mechanism, meaning how it actually works technically. Second, its institutional context, so who used it or where it was published. And third, its conceptual lineage, basically the big ideas it carried forward. And this brilliantly illustrates why pulling these apart is absolutely crucial. See, a single innovation can be important for completely different reasons, depending entirely on your angle. Take a proof-of-work algorithm, for example. Is it a technical mechanism? Yes, definitely. Was it used as a policy tool in a specific institutional context? Also yes. By separating the mechanism from the context, you stop yourself from accidentally double-counting its influence, and it becomes crystal clear exactly why you're including it in your narrative. Just look at how clean this metadata blueprint is. By capturing these specific fields, like you've got the name, Merkle tree, the year 1979, mechanism tags like hashing and academic for the context, boom, you instantly have a structured dataset. And notice that final column, the score, that's an initial influence score from 1 to 10. In this case, a 7. Just remember, this score is literally just a starting estimate to help you prioritize. Please don't let it paralyze your progress. Just give it a gut check number and move on. Let's take that taxonomy theory and apply it to the real world. Welcome to Section 3, the 5-step workflow. I'm going to walk you through this workflow pretty briskly because it honestly takes a daunting academic workload and makes it feel entirely manageable. Step 1, gather your raw candidates. Step 2, tag them using those taxonomy fields we just talked about. Step 3, cluster those items together by theme or lineage. Step 4, prioritize them using specific historical lenses. And finally, Step 5, frame a short narrative blurb for each one. Simple, right? Now that 4th step, prioritization, is where your project's final format really dictates your moves. If you're building a timeline, you need to favor chronological causation. Basically, you care deeply about what specific event caused the next event to happen. But if you're writing an essay, you need to favor explanatory power, meaning you care way more about why this innovation actually matters for proving your specific thesis. Let's move to a quick example and see how this builds when we cluster technical innovations chronologically. We've got Merkle trees in 1979 for hashing, Hashcash in 1997 for proof of work, and B-Money in 1998 for digital tokens. Suddenly, you're not looking at a bunch of isolated random events anymore. You are looking at a clear, continuous line of technical evolution leading right to the doorstep of modern blockchain. To really wrap our heads around how these historical events connect, we use a central, honestly kind of beautiful mental model for this course. Here is Section 4, the river delta metaphor. We are going to treat the history of blockchain like a massive converging river delta. Up at the top, you have the headwaters. These are foundational theoretical advances. Think early public key cryptography that have what we call generative importance. They carve out entirely new channels of thought. Then, further downstream, you have consolidative importance. These are the practical engineering interventions that take those existing streams and combine them together into one massive, powerful flow.
Let's put this into practice. Check out this sample thesis. Blockchain is a synthesis of cryptographic proof techniques and distributed consensus solutions. If that's your thesis, your job is basically to act as a mapmaker. You use your taxonomy to document exactly how those various tributary channels, the proofs on one side, the consensus models on the other, ultimately converge into the mainstream blockchain ocean.
And as you're sorting through your messy notes, here are some major tributary innovations you should absolutely be looking out for. You've got Diffie-Hellman and RSA cryptography, Lamport's groundbreaking Byzantine fault tolerance work, David Chaum's early digital cash proposals, and Nick Szabo's smart contracts. Keep these specific names on your radar as you sift through all your raw materials. They are massive currents in our river.
Okay, we've mapped the theory. Now it's time to set up a quick practice task to perfectly bridge today's explainer into your next lesson. Welcome to Section 5, Preparing for Source Evaluation.
Look at this number, 8 to 12. That is your magic target. By the end of your practice task, you want a stress-free, highly targeted, short list of exactly 8 to 12 prioritized innovations. You absolutely do not need 50 of them. You just need a focused, robust handful. To get there, just block out about 20 to 30 minutes for this homework. Select your 12 raw candidates, fill out your taxonomy spreadsheet with the mechanism and context tags, give them that initial 1 to 10 influence score to help guide your deeper research later. And then, write a single-sentence framing blurb connecting the innovation back to your thesis. Do this, and you'll have a tangible, highly organized map ready to go before we move forward. So the absolutely crucial point here is this. Always preserve your evidence note in that spreadsheet. Even if your note is completely speculative, like, hey, check the academic citations on this, or look for old cypherpunk mailing list posts. Write it down. Keeping those speculative evidence pointers safe is literally the skeleton key you'll need to successfully navigate the historical archives later on. Don't lose them. All right, let's summarize this journey. This workflow completely tames the historical mess into a neat, deliverable-ready map. Your taxonomy separates the how from the who, mechanism from context. Your clustering organizes that data so the evidence connects straight back to your thesis. And our river delta model ensures you're mapping everything from those early generative headwaters all the way down to the consolidative engineering flow. I want to leave you with this provocative thought as you compile your list. Which generative headwater will become the strongest current in your narrative? It's like a giant puzzle, and you get to put the pieces together. Make your choices, prepare your spreadsheet, and definitely bring it with you to our next module, Evaluating Sources and Building Evidence. To continue learning about this and all things Web3, be sure to visit forge.college. Keep mapping those innovations, and thanks for learning with us today.